Hey.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to TLDR FC, or the Major, if you want to call it that.
We are the Major. It's the Major now. I forgot.
The Major by TLDR FC, a podcast for the soccer curious, specifically in this case, Major League Soccer.
Yeah, we made it. World
right.
Cup is over, and now we're into the MLS. This is exciting.
This is great.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I did have a little bit of the post World Cup blues.
Did you?
I've been feeling it a little bit because it's, you know, and I've heard it from other people too, so it's not a completely original thought, but I did kind of grow to, I don't know, the commercialization of these clubs are necessary because
Right.
you need to like pay players and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like contract talks and all that stuff, like
It's different.
It's just a different side of the game that like with the World Cup, we just didn't really talk about, you know? So it's not like you can be like, hey, I know you're not French, but play for the France team.
Right,
you know, like
right.
it's,
They do a little
they
bit
probably
of that.
could.
They do
Yeah,
a little
honestly,
bit of
now
that
that I think
too,
about it. But yeah, I am kind of missing that time, where it was kind of all or nothing. Everybody's representing their team, and it's like, I will die for this team.
Yeah.
And now it's like, well, they're not paying me, so I'm gonna just like leave. You know?
Oh, for sure.
I don't know.
No, that does make sense.
More pure.
I guess I hadn't. I think I was feeling it as it was ending, the blues, but then I think it's so weird because I feel like soccer just picked up immediately after.
It did, yeah. It didn't give you a chance.
Yeah, MLS started the same week that World Cup was ending.
Right.
Liga MX has already started. They're in their like second week of games. The like Championship League I think starts next week over in England.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize it was that early.
I'm locked in on Wolves because of Raul Jimenez.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So I feel like it, and maybe because we're doing this and because the World Cup is so recent, I just feel like soccer is still all around me. It's been nice that I haven't had to like be like, oh, there's no soccer going on. I feel like there's still soccer going on. But that's such a valid point that it is so different. I think I've been feeling it kind of in the gameplay too, where like I mean, I'm not trying to like. I'm not saying that we love the MLS, you know,
for sure.
I'm not saying it's a bad league or anything like that, but you know, the World Cup, these are the country's best players.
Right.
So you get kind of like a different style. And I think that's for all leagues, like not just MLS, just MLS is the one that we're happen to be watching now.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, this is so different. And some clubs that are more towards the bottom of the ranks seem a little like, you know, figuring stuff out. Also, they've been out for like 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see which teams are kind of locking in and catching other teams by surprise, and like certain ones that went into the break really looking hot and then they come out with absolutely no momentum. I think that back to the World Cup thing, there's so much of that energy of like that do or die mentality.
Right.
Whereas like, especially coming out of a long break, you got to be like, well, let's see if this works. Let's try this different formation, or now we've got not completely, but like a lot of different people on the roster, or people have been moved around, whatever it might be. Hopefully there should be like less of that going into next year with like the schedule change.
Like the sprint season.
Yeah, because it really does seem almost like a completely new season. It doesn't feel like
100%. I feel like I forgot everything that happened before, but I know like we were in the middle of a season, and it's just been interesting getting back into it. I also think that you're totally right. I feel like the World Cup is so short. I know it's 6 weeks, but even in the group play, I feel like there's stakes in every game. And not to say there isn't stakes in these games, but I think a regular season is so much longer. And it's kind of like, even if you lose a game, you could use that to learn something rather than, oh, we're basically out of this now.
Yeah, exactly.
You kind of be like, oh,
plan for 2030 or something. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Like there's so many games that it's kind of like, okay, this wasn't our best effort, but we could learn from this. Where I think the World Cup was so like you were saying, they're playing with the passion of the country, and everything's do or die.
Yeah.
And you felt that just in the broadcast and how they were playing. And these, again, I'm not saying there's any lazy play or anything like that. It's just so different.
They are coming off from a long break, and also they're missing a lot of, not a lot, but like a good chunk of players when it comes to like the World Cup break. They're allotted a certain amount of time after or in between games from the World Cup into their clubs. And then, you know, for the majority of the other clubs throughout Europe and elsewhere, they are starting a little bit later than the MLS. So it makes a lot more sense for the teams, especially the ones that made it a long run, like Messi or otherwise. It makes a lot more sense that he wouldn't be there right away.
It's funny, and we could use this to jump into our analysis of the games. But the first Miami game was against our Chicago Fire. But it was really funny hearing that they were like, Messi is not playing. No idea when either. They kind of it seems like Inter Miami was just like, when you're ready, come on back.
Dude, whatever. Like if you can stop by like and play a game here and there, like that would be awesome. But like, no pressure. Whatever you want to do, man.
So funny to hear. And I think I had seen a thing too, because obviously he was named an all-star for the MLS, and the MLS All-Star game is this week, and he's not gonna play. But there's like no penalties or anything. They're like, we get it.
Yeah, I think you're supposed to have like a game suspension or something like that. They're like, dude, whatever. Dude.
Yeah, like, Messi's probably like, suspend me a game. I'm not going to play it anyway.
Honestly, that's so true.
So it's just kind of funny that I just thought that was hilarious. I think they mentioned it like 3 or 4 different times. We're like, Messi's not playing today. No timeline for when he's back. And I'm like, but that's fair. He just played in the most important games not for him. He's played in these games all the time.
But it's a cakewalk.
But they're still like vastly important games that like had so much pressure and so much like storylines in them, that to kind of go from that and then a week later just a regular season MLS game.
Yeah,
I'm like, maybe he deserves to break a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of which, let's get into the first game.
Yeah, for sure.
This one bummed me out.
It was kind of a bummer. Our Chicago Fire played Inter Miami, and Chicago scored 2 goals, but Miami scored 3. So Chicago fell, and it was also, I feel like, kind of a bummer because, as we talked about last week, Lewandowski's first game was supposed to be here in Chicago, and I think I had seen someone post this on Reddit too, of like, had that game happened, maybe vibes would have been different because he would have got this kind of hero's welcome. Even if he just subbed on, it would have been really great and people would have loved it and stuff. And instead, he kind of has to make his debut at the Miami Stadium, which was only their second game there, which I didn't realize.
Second game?
Yeah, because they had only played one before the World Cup break. Because remember, it didn't...
I thought that they had a few in there.
Oh, and then the broadcast lied to me.
Oh, well, they were not working for like 5 minutes. So
yeah, that's true. They had a similar problem as us.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Honestly, I was watching. I was like timing it. I was like, dude, we would have been on the air.
Right. Yeah. Seriously.
We would have had Brenda hitting us up and saying, hey, you got to get out.
Brenda was trying to text them. She was like, what's going on? I kind of enjoyed it though. It was kind of like I really had to lock in.
It was interesting, and it was funny because like without her, I guess to give context, they didn't have the audio working for the commentary for the Miami Chicago game for the first like close to 6 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a bizarre feeling, but it was also kind of fun to just hear the raw audio of like the stadium or lack thereof, honestly. And they even ended up talking about that a little bit later, that they came with like a lot of energy, the introduction of the players and all that stuff, but then it really dissipated. And it wasn't even like the play from Miami was like slow necessarily. It just wasn't connected. And so you can kind of understand why the team supporters would have been a little bit more like bored, with what they're seeing, because it would just be turnover and different stupid mistakes. But yeah, it did kind of feel odd that he was introduced in such an atmosphere. I'm grateful that this is getting ahead. I'm grateful that he wasn't introduced at New York, in Yankee Stadium. Yeah. Can you imagine the optics of that already are just awful, but like playing in a baseball stadium, which just does not look like a soccer stadium. Like it just cannot be the actual thing.
Yeah.
Like
it's crazy.
Yeah. I watching it is just like, it feels like I'm not supposed to be watching it. Like it's like a high school. Yeah, exactly. Like it's I feel like gross. I'm like, this is not right. Yeah. Also, why are we playing in Yankee Stadium with one of the smallest baseball dimensions in the MLB, which is another question, it just seems like the worst place to play. But that being said, there are worse places for him to have been introduced, but it was a bummer that we didn't get the formal welcome. And now he's kind of coming back to Chicago, with, spoiler alert, 2 losses under his belt, and obviously Hugo Kuipers not being a part of the team, it really left a sour taste in a lot of fans' mouth. I don't think that all of the hate is justified by any means, but I am not super, like, I'm a little worried that people are going to be kind of, I don't know. Let's just hope that it's like online and
the discourse online has been truly like,
oh, he sucks. I didn't realize. He's done.
He's like, oh, why do we do this? I'm like, it's 2 games. He still has to get used to the system. It's like he also did not play in the World Cup, so he hasn't played for essentially what 2-3. When was the Barcelona season end? It was a while ago.
Yeah, it's been a minute, and they didn't sign him so early like they did with Griezmann on Orlando. So he hasn't really meshed with the team, and obviously they were running a formation that like went out the window when Hugo Kuipers left. And so obviously, yes, you can see this as like a superstar. He should be able to make things happen. And there were a few moments that did, there was some spark and stuff, but I think that people...
He had one touch that was crazy. Like on the back foot. That was... And I mean, we're obviously we are on the super excited side of this and stuff.
Maybe it's just because like we're kind of new to this, but like it's exciting to have so much buzz around the team that we support. And as much as I'm missing Hugo Kuipers, I think that this is the way forward, in my opinion. I don't know. I could be completely wrong, and I might be eating my words in a year, but we'll see.
I wanted to ask you, did you feel like you watched this game a little differently in terms of like you were looking for him or looking directly, like less at the plays and more what he's doing or what the team is doing around him?
A little bit. I was watching him a little bit, but I was also kind of watching the team around him, because it seems like, when you bring in a superstar like this, so much, my instinct would be just pass it to him.
Right.
Like no matter what, and it was cool to see, like, I could be giving them too much credit, but it was cool to see that there was some moments of fluidity that weren't just completely centered around him, and nor do I think that there should be, because he's only been with the team for like 2.5 weeks now or whatever.
I do think there was moments though that I felt like they were trying to get him a goal.
For sure.
And I mean, I said that is his position though. He's the striker. So
it's hard to say, like, it's like not like they're giving Mbawazi, like, something like that. Right. Which, by the way, I miss him very much.
Oh, please get well soon. I know that Berhalter said it's going to be a minute, and that's such a bummer, but we're rooting for him, that a speedy recovery though. That was a bummer. But I thought that I watched it a little differently, and I was like hyper focused on him. And then there were some plays that I was like, I think you guys are just trying to get it to him and have him make some magic. And I don't think he's there yet, just in terms of the system. He like barely knows you guys and all this stuff that I felt like they were playing a little differently around him, but not super differently, because then there was still like Puso got a goal. There was still moments that they were like, well, let's just play in our flow. But I think there was some moments that they were looking for him, and Miami was able to come and get the ball. That's the thing. I don't think they were holding the ball well. Yeah,
he's got a bigger target on his back than Hugo did. And so it's definitely going to be, they're going to have to be a little bit more creative than they were in the past, because it seems like Hugo was benefiting a lot from the things that were given to him and not necessarily him creating stuff out of nowhere. All credit to him, so hopefully they can continue that process, but also some of that like Lewandowski magic can kind of fill in some of those gaps. And I think that that's the goal with him, is that overall he would be an upgrade. He has like a higher ceiling than Hugo. But yeah, I am curious to see where it goes and what they do from this bad loss. It's better to get it out of the way now and not be like, losing steam at the end of the season. But there are going to be moments where he theoretically will be away with his Polish national team. And so there are definitely some question marks about like, okay, what do we do without him? Right. And also like, what do we do? How do we use him properly?
And I think Berhalter has talked about it too, where it's like, because I think some people are being critical of like, is this too much too soon? But I think Berhalter is saying we have to get through these tough stretches now, so we're not getting through them in like the playoffs or something like that. Like
don't wait for the wild card or whatever.
Exactly. Like, okay.
Yeah, he also said, he's like, we're paying him too damn much to sit on the bench.
So yeah, I mean, and I think that's the thing, that it may not look great now, but it's like you're adding this, and that's the tough thing too about the World Cup break. Like you said, it feels like a completely new season, but it's not. It's a middle of a season thing that it's kind of hard to make these changes and still flow. And I think, I mean, I can't speak for you, but I feel like you were probably thinking the Chicago Fire is one of the teams of like before the break. Yeah. They were third place.
Yeah, they were fifth overall.
Yeah, and now with these 2 losses, they've like moved back a couple. They have,
spots.
But it's still early. We're still figuring stuff out, and so I mean, wasn't great, but it was still. I mean, I enjoyed the game. Yeah. Luis Suarez got a brace. Good for him.
He just like turned it on. Yeah, here I guess let's go through like the bullet points, I guess, of because it started off with one of the stupidest goals ever, and like that's coming from someone, us who benefited from it, but this awful whiff from the Miami goalkeeper. That the commentators were trying to credit Lewandowski with like some of brought some of the pressure. Yeah, I know you texted me about it. But watching it is absolutely just like a total whiff that he has, and the ball just rolls behind him.
Let me see if I could break it down. So the goalkeeper had it. He kicks it to the right. Lewandowski is in front of them, but like it's commonplace where the striker will come and kind of just like pressure the goalkeeper, but like there's no chance they can ever get there in time before they pass it. So he passes it to his right fielder, and then the guy on the right passes it back. Lewandowski is still kind of not even like full sprint attacking.
No. And that's what's so funny about the slow-mo is that it looks extra slow.
Yeah, he's just kind of walking towards him, but still doing that like pressure of like, I'm here, you got it, I kick it. And that's why I give this to Lewandowski, because I feel like the goalkeeper saw him. And we should say this was not the starting goalkeeper. Their starting goalkeeper was the goalkeeper for the Canadian national team.
Right. Yeah,
so they were,
right?
Yeah. And so he also, like Messi, got a break, even though Canada did not go as far as Argentina. Sure. They still gave him a break. And I think he was on the bench. Like they could have subbed him in if they wanted to, but they were just like, hey, you don't have to start. You're still going to rest. So the backup goalkeeper is in. He sees Lewandowski not rushing at him, just coming at him. And then like rather than like a goalkeeper does, just kick it to the middle of the field, he kind of doesn't look at the ball, goes for the kick, but doesn't realize the ball has already passed him.
Absolutely.
And just slowly rolls into the goal. So,
this did numbers on the soccer circle jerk Reddit. If you've seen that. It did not.
It wasn't great.
Bode well with the international community and the relevance of the MLS, but also, that's Reddit. You're going to find any little thing. So
I will say right after, I forget who the player was, kind of went and accosted him, but then gave him a hug of like, it's okay. So I feel like they were probably, he was probably the most mad at himself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 It was rough. We didn't get to sit in that lead for too long because then there was a penalty, stupid penalty sliding and gave Luis Suarez a opportunity to score pretty easy. He made it pretty easy. Hitting off the bar, or not the crossbar, the post, side post.
That's what Suarez does.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, I think it could have been a lot worse because Chris Brady ended up having a pretty phenomenal showing, all things considered.
He had some great stops.
Yeah. So I don't think that Miami was playing like the better team for the first half, but the second half they kind of just exploited the lack of a team effort that Chicago had and the lack of defense that they had.
Yeah, and that was kind of the stuff we talked about before with the Lewandowski signing of like, there is holes in this team that's why people are upset that like striker wasn't exactly a hole, but Lewandowski, you just can't pass that up.
Yeah. And let's hope that they can get, in their other DP spot, they can get somebody else to fill in some of that midfield and, perhaps someone in the backfield too. I don't know. I think that there's still plenty of players that are technically available and like moves can still be made within this window. So I'd hope that they can just make a couple of moves and at least show that they are acknowledging the issue rather than just being like, we'll just try to score more goals. Like it's just, that's not a safe bet. So,
and speaking of bringing in guys, not for the Chicago Fire, but Inter Miami.
Yeah.
In this game, they introduced the Casemiro, who they signed, but he didn't play this game. I believe he played the next game.
That's right.
And there was, I don't know if you saw, there was some controversy with that because
there's like the meddling. Is that what they called it?
Yeah. Because I think was it the LA Galaxy that had first thought that they had some.
I didn't read too much about it. I was like, oh, Inter Miami is doing illegal things. Okay. Yeah. When did they not? Yeah. Or whatever.
Like, they got another player to play with Messi. Cool.
Yeah. Right.
But Casemiro, he just played for the Brazilian national team. Great player. Had, I think, initial talks with another MLS team, but ultimately decided to go to Inter Miami, who already has Messi, who already has Suarez, who already has this stacked team of former Premier League and La Liga players. He goes there. People are upset, especially the team that thought they were going to have kind of the first talks with him. Mm-hmm. So now there's kind of the internal investigation by MLS of like, did they meddle and get him by, secret means or something? But I'm sure Messi just texted him like, hey, come play with me.
Okay.
Don't twist my arm.
So we'll see if that has a major effect on things, but we'll get to their stuff later.
Yeah, for sure.
But, yeah, bummer of a loss, but hey, we move on.
I still think it was a learning game. Kind of what we were talking about earlier of like, hey, it's one game. You're introducing a major piece to this team. So, and I believe they were next to each other in the standings. Even without Messi, Inter Miami is a great team.
Yeah.
And they hung with them. So obviously, we would want the win, especially with Lewandowski playing. And you hope that he gets a goal because that is his thing. I think I saw a thing that he has won a golden boot in every league he's played for.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So, okay, well, let's get it going.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. But it's first game. So I'm not. And again, like it sucks that he had to have his debut in Miami, and I know that there were still Lewandowski fans. I saw he was signing autographs after the game. He's gonna have fans wherever he goes. He's such a huge player, but I think when he is here in Chicago and feels the love, I think the energy will be different. I think it's just a little bit of weird energy right now.
For sure, we'll be there. We'll provide some 100% good energy.
I'll be screaming.
Yeah, me too, baby. Let's do it. All right. Next game.
Let's go.
San Jose, Orlando. San Jose coming in with a pretty hot streak off of the break,
right.
And Orlando being almost right at the very bottom with like wooden spoon allegations. So this was a surprising result, but also they looked really good.
They did look really good. This is tough. This is kind of like I think I was in my, I feel like I've gotten out of it, but I think I was in my head a little bit watching these two games kind of back to back because obviously Orlando was introducing Griezmann, who is also a major superstar in overseas, and he's now playing for the MLS, and he just looked great. He looked like he slid right in. And I also feel like the energy that Orlando had with him there is essentially what you're saying of like, they look like a completely different team than before the break. Because now with Griezmann there, it feels like they have like this like backpack of superpowers that they just got in. And,
for sure.
And he was able to score a goal, and they were all just clicking on all cylinders. And it seems like I think what Orlando showed is what I was hoping the Fire would show. But I think what you said is completely accurate of like, they knew he was coming for a longer period of time. Sure. I think they were a little more prepped for it than Lewandowski. Lewandowski almost felt like pickup soccer in a way. It was like, let's just put this guy in and it'll just flow. I think
this was more methodical.
Yeah.
Obviously 100%. He was filling in with like a pretty lackluster offense. Mm-hmm. So they have described him as like the spark kind of coming in, and it seemed really true for everyone there. So I mean, they have a long way to go in order to get back into like actual competition. But stranger things have happened. They look like a really solid team, because if we didn't mention it before, Orlando stomped San Jose with a 4-0 win.
Right, we got right into it.
Yeah. So needed to make that be known. But
I don't have as much a relationship to Griezmann as I do Lewandowski. Like I think I've seen more of Lewandowski play, but I have seen a little of Griezmann play.
Sure.
And just seeing this game, he's just so smooth. he's like, I'm really excited to see him in MLS, and he just seems like he still got it. I mean, I hate the MLS is the retirement league thing. All these guys still got it. They're pros, but like Griezmann just looked good. He's really good. He's a smooth player.
Yeah, I think that's such a good example of like what could happen when you bring in a experienced veteran, where you can kind of like create an atmosphere of feeding off of each other and learning things that that are unique, and bringing in some distinction with the team. Versus just plugging them in and hoping that they save the day.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
which I think
we'll see if it works out.
Yeah. No, I mean, they have a long way to go, but
for sure.
And I think you're right too, that the Fire already had a system in place, and now they kind of have to shift the system a little bit.
Yeah.
Whereas Orlando, I think, were already kind of spiraling, and
they had a blank slate. Pretty much.
So they're like, hey, this is great. We can just add them in, and whatever happens, we're happy with. Where I think the expectations for the Fire are a little higher.
Good for them. All right, let's get to Nashville and Montreal. Not much to draw from this other than the fact that Surridge drew a controversial penalty that got them on the board.
Yeah.
It was one of those like, tripping late in the game kind of like situations where it kind of could have gone either way. That I know some of the MLS commentators were saying that they didn't really think that it was a penalty.
Yeah.
So it does kind of suck that it gave Montreal the loss, given that Nashville only won 1-0 with a penalty kick.
And they're a team that's just been thriving.
They have been, but I gotta say, watching them, it was like that same thing with Spain. And I was wrong with how Spain ended up performing, but Nashville, at least in their first two games, are not giving super convincing performances. Right. I wouldn't assume that they're at the top. Like they are. So they really seem to sneak away with this win. So I'm curious to see if this is a facade or if it's just like getting back into the swing of things.
Right. Maybe they were a little lax on their vacations and stuff. And now it's kind of getting back into it.
We'll see. We'll see. Then we had Columbus versus New York City FC. Of course, Columbus losing to NYC 1-2. Honestly, it was not even NYC outplaying them. They just Columbus made a lot of mistakes, and it got NYC 2 goals.
Yeah,
and that's all it took.
Sometimes those things happen.
Yeah, bummer.
Yep.
This was my favorite game of the week. If we have a game of the week, I would probably say that this one is my game of the week.
Okay, yeah.
This one was just like, I feel like you would show this game to somebody who says that soccer is boring.
Sure.
And then you're like, no, actually it's not.
Look at this.
And it can be crazy sometimes. So it was Cincinnati versus Vancouver, a very high scoring game. Cincinnati winning it 4-3. With
surprising.
Yeah, it was back and forth, and Vancouver coming in looking pretty unprepared against the Cincinnati team that's been kind of in the middle of the pack of things. But there were, between the two teams, there were 5 goals in 35 minutes.
Insane.
35 minutes. So not even at the half, there were already 5 goals. There's that's more goals than I think. Yeah, there's more goals than Spain allowed in the entire the World Cup. So, which is, impressive on Spain's half as well. But,
right.
Just crazy. And then they had 7 goals in 58 minutes. So they had the rest of the game. There was just kind of a standoff. But Cincinnati,
tired, honestly.
I know, honestly, I was thinking that too. But Cincinnati holds on and hands Vancouver only their 3rd loss of this season.
I didn't even realize that. That's crazy.
Yeah, they've been hot on the other side of things, on the western side of the Western Front, if you will.
Yeah. And we'll get in more into Vancouver later.
Oh yeah, we definitely will. Stick around for some Vancouver history.
Yep.
We definitely should talk about the next game, but what my last thing that I need to say about Cincinnati Vancouver is to give you a perspective of how much of a highlight reel this was. I believe 3 out of 5 of the goals of the week were from this game, and that's from both teams.
Yeah.
So they had plenty to choose from. So I guess that's a cheat code, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
No, that's awesome. So for this next game, I'm a little salty because I was more locked in on this one than the Cincinnati Vancouver game.
This one still ended up being okay.
It was a fun game. I enjoyed it. I think it was just a little. My expectations were higher than the result. I would say, because so this game was LAFC, which scored 3 goals, versus Real Salt Lake, which only scored 1. So LAFC won this game. And I was excited about this. I love the players. So any like star players, I'd be locked in on that.
I know him from FIFA.
Yeah, that's me. That's drink at home.
Baby.
Casillas brought up FIFA. But so LAFC, they have Son, amazing player. Real Salt Lake has Diego Luna, one of our favorite players. I love him a lot. And I was just hoping that it would be more of a battle, but I just feel like for the most part, LAFC was just so locked in on this. You put here, Son scored again. Now, like after a major drought, he's just back to his old scoring ways, which is awesome to see. That was a cool thing about this game. I guess I'm not disappointed in the game of like how it was played. LAFC just looked dominant. I think I just wanted it to be more competitive, like the Cincinnati Vancouver game, super competitive back and forth.
Sure.
LAFC was basically running it the entire time. It was really cool to see them just really be in the flow of the game. And Real Salt Lake, they looked like the team that was on a break and kind of getting back into their mode. Mm-hmm. I will say that Diego Luna I wouldn't say he didn't do much because there wasn't like scoring and assists, but like seeing his workload is insane. Like he is truly a number 10 in that he is attacking the middle. He is running around, and it's because, he's a little bit shorter, kind of stocky. So you could really see him when he's out there. Yeah. And even the commentators were talking about it. Just his workload is crazy because he is touching it. He is running around. He is trying to get, but LAFC just was really good at defending and holding them down. And it was kind of a bummer that there wasn't more back and forth. LA was kind of running it, but it was cool and impressive to see his workload. And I will say, this is separate from this game. This is actually the next game that Real Salt Lake played. I don't know if you saw this. Before the game, the crowd was chanting USA reject to him, which is tough. Yeah, that's tough. That's competition. You're playing in an opposing field, you're gonna get that stuff. But I'm like, man, I probably feel like this way because he's one of my favorite MLS players. But I was like, don't be mean to him. Like, he tried really hard.
Yeah. I feel that. I mean, it depends on how you look at it. USA reject, because if you're talking about USA in terms of Bank of America, he's not a reject. Right. He's all over their ads.
Oh man,
he's all over. So we'll get him next time.
I'm still rooting for him.
Yeah, I did wonder if this, coming off the break and obviously not making the U.S. World Cup team, had any, if this is going to be like a good thing or a bad thing for him, like if it's messed with him a lot, or if it's coming off as like fire and it's feeding him or whatever, so
I think
we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, watching this game, it was kind of similar to how I watched the Chicago Fire game, where I was kind of locked in on him also just because he's running around all over the place. It's kind of hard to miss him, but I do think he kind of had that energy of like really wanting to make stuff happen. Yeah. And it just wasn't happening. And then I don't know if he got into his head a little bit. They eventually took him out of the game. And as you put, Real Salt Lake did get like a late consolation goal and to give them one, but it was, it was already over at that point.
Yeah. So I mean, LA, like they were just so good at the transition, like that all of their goals came from just like a quick transition and then boom, done. It wasn't like they were relying on set pieces or trying to like keep the ball on their side of the field. They were just like defending, and then boom, here's our time to score. And then they did.
Yeah. And I feel like they're such a fast team.
They're so fast.
Like there was no one on Real Salt Lake that could keep up. So, cause like once they were on the break, you already kind of knew they were going to score a goal. Like every time it was like either they're going to get a corner or they're going to get the goal, which is kind of what was happening the entire game.
Definitely. Yeah. Let's move on to go to the next one. We got too many games to sit around. We had Philadelphia versus Red Bull New York, or New York Red Bulls, whatever you want to call it. I think they're technically Red Bull New York, but
I think that's how I say it.
Whatever. Who cares? I don't care. So this game was kind of fun because it's like two young teams that are kind of rough around the edges, but they're fun to watch. So there's a good amount of mistakes that seem to occur, or like at least more than usual. But Philly had. I wrote down they had a couple of bangers that made them look a lot better than the wooden spoon contenders that they have looked like previously. Because as of right now, in this week for the Matchday 17, they were in the last place spot for the wooden spoon. So they really did not look like that. They looked a lot better than the previous records. would say.
Yeah, maybe they were a team that looked in the mirror during the break.
That's right.
We gotta do better.
We got to do better. Yeah. And they got a whole new coaching staff too. I think that they're trying to like flip it on its head. It's interesting to see how far they went last year, knowing that they obviously beat the Chicago Fire in the playoffs last year, and then seeing now, at least the first half of the season, it's just like, what happened? But
yeah, I feel there's a couple of teams like that.
There are definitely, and we'll get to a few others like down this list too. But Philly ended up winning this one 3-1. And did we mention the score for LAFC 3-1?
Yeah.
There were a lot of 3-1 victories. And speaking of a 3-1 victory, another one, Austin versus Seattle. Austin pulling off a pretty decent victory against Seattle. This is another team where I feel like they almost swapped places with Philly, where Seattle was going into the break looking pretty hot, and now they look like one of the worst teams. Don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Seattle, because we talked about it last week. They were all excited to play at home after hosting World Cup games,
right? And
then just looked lackluster. And in this game too, there's like another lackluster performance.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Even their one goal came from a really awkward. I don't know if you saw that. It was like he, kicked the ball with both of his knees. Like he literally like fell down on his knees and like
I saw the highlight of this. Yeah.
I don't even know if you kicked it in. Like I don't know if you would call it that necessarily, but it was like, even the commentators were like, oh, like there was a very clear like I never sure.
Yeah, goal's a goal.
Seattle. Yeah, exactly. But Austin ended up having a late winner in the 86th minute, and then if that wasn't enough, they ended up scoring another one in stoppage time. So
really wanted to put it to Seattle.
Yeah, a lot of questions for Seattle. We'll have to see if they can turn it around, because they're quickly losing ground that they gained over the first half. So we'll see. Another team that I feel like completely flip-flopped too is St. Louis City against LA Galaxy, winning, wouldn't you guess it, 3-1.
There was a lot of 3-1 games.
There were, yeah, all in one day. It was weird.
Crazy.
But I got to say, before I even start anything, I'm not going to be able to pull it up for this episode, but the alternate kits for St. Louis City are some of the worst that I've ever seen. They are so awful. I like feel so bad. I would be astonished to see someone wearing this out in public. It is, so they honored, if I get this correctly, I believe they honored Tina Turner with their kits this year as like their alternate, and so they're like a gold color, but it does not translate like that on TV. It just looks like a kind of like a mustard, like a brown mustard kind of look, which is fine. It just does not fit their colors, which is like a very like pinky red and like a very dark blue, and like it just does not seem to fit them at all.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, they have probably the worst shirt sponsor out of like all of the teams, with Purina. And so it's like you have this like, dog and cat food. I think it's cat food.
Yeah.
Company just on like this gold, like mustardy brown, like just disgusting. I'm so sorry. Like I truly, it's easy for us to like crap on St. Louis being from Chicago, but like I gotta be real with you. Like I'm totally in the mode of condolences for you guys.
Real quick off that, I did want to mention the back at the Real Salt Lake, they were wearing their kind of like checkerboard. Like kind of looks like Croatia.
It does kind of.
But like I love those, and it was funny because the broadcasters, I think 5 different times were like, man, I love these kids. Like they were like really loving the kids.
Yeah, there's some that really work and some that just really don't, and that's one of them. I love the thick checkerboard and then like the thick stripes. Those are they're so cool and so clean. They don't hodgepodge together on TV. They look like really clear, decisive colors and stuff. It's very clean.
It's interesting. MLS has some like really cool looking kits across the league, and then they have some St. Louis's.
Yeah, honestly. Well, and it does validate me a little bit watching some of the other leagues around the world, because there are some stinkers.
Oh, for sure.
And thank God. I mean, we can get to it in a sec, but they currently only have one main sponsor on the front, but I guess that door has been open to have more sponsors on the back now, and there was one that was just announced, which we'll have to talk about in just a second when we get to their team. But it is let's savor this time of kits being simple and lovely and not completely covered in looking like NASCAR or something.
I think it was Barcelona for the Spider. I think the original Spider-Man, like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, had like a Spider-Man kit that was like disgusting.
But it's actually kind of sick.
Yeah, I think now looking back, I'm like, that'd be pretty cool to have.
Right.
But that essentially use the entire kit as promotion, which is like, come on, what are we doing here?
Well, I mean, they've been doing that. They're the ones, if I'm not wrong, they do the like they did Cactus Jack for Travis Scott.
Right, or they'll do like Kobe Bryant collaborations and stuff.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But we're not alone there in that. But I was just going to, I guess, wrap it up. St. Louis City just looking real hot now. I would be kind of afraid of them if they were on our conference, which for some reason they are not with the way that the Western and Eastern works out. But
conferences.
It's bizarre. We'll see if the schedule change comes with a league realignment. Well,
sure.
I don't know. Could be. But my one last thought is, why the hell is LA Galaxy playing in the dark? Have you seen their lighting of the stadium? It's strange. I don't know. Maybe it's like a modern stadium thing.
Yeah.
Because watching the recaps and stuff, it's like very clear to see what something was wrong. And I was watching it and I realized like the playing field, the pitch is lit up, but then like the stadium itself is not. Like it seems like all the people are sitting in the dark.
I think I do remember, because you could also kind of like see the players' shadows.
Isn't that weird? Yeah. Like I feel like it's just they got to update the lights or something, because it really just does not seem
they like it, or I don't know.
No, it was one of those things where like if I just saw it alone, I wouldn't think anything of it probably.
Yeah.
But seeing it back to back with so many of these other games, especially like newer stadiums, I was like, what are we doing? Like that, it just seems weird, I
had a similar thought, but with the Chicago Fire Miami game, and that is a brand, it's literally the new stadium. But they blow so many like fireworks before,
and it was getting stuck.
It was so smoky. It was like
permeating in there.
They gotta figure something else here.
Yeah, they gotta get maybe some fans,
because of the setup of the stadium. It's a little more, because I do love what they've done with the new stadium. It's a
beautiful stadium.
Like it's a classic soccer kind of stadium where the crowd is super close and they're kind of like on top of the field, which I think is the way that soccer should be enjoyed. And I hope that is with the McDonald's park that we're getting. Yeah, I hope that's what it feels like. I love what they've done with the place, but they gotta either do less fireworks or figure something out. Because even we had the wildfire smoke. Brenda was saying, did they have wildfire smoke? Because it looks so
all the way down there. Yeah,
and eventually after like 20 minutes, it finally dissipated. Yeah. But then when Miami scored, they blow it again. And so there was like more smoke. I'm like, they can't be enjoying this.
Can't be good. Yeah, honestly, all these like top athletes, no less.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see if that would be a good problem to have, I guess, if we're breathing in a bunch of smoke and it's because our team is scoring so much. So going to the next game, we had New England versus Toronto, which was a 0-0 draw.
I watched some of this one because that's the thing.
So it's fine.
At a certain point, it was these were the late games, and there was a lot of like, which we'll get into it. There was a bunch of ties going on, and I feel like I kept picking the wrong games. Like I kept picking the 3-1 games,
right?
And then now there was these ties. I was like, okay, cool. I'll finally see like someone like take a lead or something. And I kept picking the ones that just ended in ties. And this was one too that I was like, someone please, just someone score. And again, we've talked about sometimes it's beautiful when there's just a 0-0. Going at it, so anyone can score. This was not one of those things. This was kind of like they were trying. It just wasn't. It wasn't happening.
Definitely, yeah. Well, we'll see if they can in their next games if they can do something. Which, spoiler alert, they did. I foreshadowed the the back of the shirt sponsors, and Casillas can already see what I'm about to be talking about. But Houston versus DC, Houston Dynamo taking on DC. This ended in with a 1-1 draw. The first half from Houston, second half from DC. Pretty even game overall. That was not what I was focused on. Yeah. I was focused on looking for the new shirt sponsor on the back of Houston Dynamo. Is
on the back too.
On the back. I know. It's the craziest. It truly is. Houston Dynamo. Here, I'll read the press release. Houston Dynamo announces Dude Wipes as club's first ever official back of jersey partner. So this is there's a big Dude Wipes logo underneath the number, which
right above
right there. So I think that it's going to be on a specific, oh my God, including the partnership's tagline, Space City has Uranus covered.
Great.
And with that, I got to move on to the next game. That's just too much. Next game was Charlotte versus Atlanta, another draw, 2-2, if you will. There was a great save by Atlanta that wasn't enough. That ended up being Charlotte's first goal, but that was a major highlight from the game. And then also Atlanta came out for the second with some fight because Charlotte had made it 2-0 going into the half, and then Atlanta came back and equalized and ended up stealing a point back for them.
Good for Atlanta.
Yeah,
so to stay in it.
I know. I mean, they've just been through the ringer. That's a fan base has been, delightful, and I think that they've got a lot to root for. In their past, obviously the team is not up to par with the amount of support that they have, but can only wish them the best, I suppose.
As Chicago fans, I think we can relate.
Oh yeah, for sure. And yet another draw with Portland versus Dallas. Portland actually
all the night games were.
They were kind of weird. Yeah, they were just like weird vibes. But honestly, it ended up looking like Dallas was going to steal the win away, but then Portland ended up equalizing in the stoppage time.
Yeah.
So
Portland, a team that on the going back to the Seattle game.
Yeah, they're one to watch.
Yeah, they just beat Seattle, and now they were able to save this one and tie it with Dallas. I think they're kind of the reverse of some of the teams we're saying that like they looked really good prior and are kind of getting back into the flow of things. I feel like Portland has really hit the ground running coming back out of the break.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Agreed right there. Then we've got one more game that night that actually ended in a win for Kansas City against Minnesota. And they had 2 goals. Kansas City had 2 goals that went unanswered for the majority of the game, but then Minnesota ended up coming back, scoring 1, but they were able to defend their honor and win at home, which SKC could definitely use because they have not had the season that they wanted. But again, one of those teams that, who knows? We'll see if they came out of the break with something more.
Yeah, similar thing to Seattle too, of like they hosted World Cup games, and hopefully that kind of put some wind in their sails.
We'll see. We'll see. Then that brought us to match day 18 this past Saturday. There were a lot of games, 15 to be exact, just like there was on Wednesday.
I will say it's crazy that it was so back to back.
It was, yeah. It seems like that's going to be pretty common, especially with the World Cup break in between. So
I'm just like, poor guys.
We're gonna have to lock in. Let's see if we can do this like rapid fire.
Yeah.
We had one of my favorite names of rivalries, the Hell is Real rivalry between Columbus and Cincinnati. That is
a cool name for a rivalry.
It's named after the signs that you see, the evangelical signs that heaven is real, hell is real. On like this, it's a very common thing in the Midwest.
Yeah, but the devil is a lie.
So that's great. But there were 2 penalties from Cincinnati, and there was a lot of drama in this game. There was a lot of energy in the rivalry, and I even wrote down that the Divas are fighting. they brought some energy after a red card into the locker room too, and like within the hallway to the locker room, there's videos out there on Reddit and stuff. Yeah, it's crazy.
Cool. Oh, wow.
But
not cool. It's cool for me.
It's awesome. Yeah. It's, I don't know. It's like I don't condone violence, but it's fun to have like a really like actual rivalry,
like animosity. I mean,
coming from Chicago, like we got plenty of those. So but yeah, the Crew came from behind after a 1-0 lead from Cincinnati to win it 2-1. So good on them.
Yeah, I mean, also, come on, Cincinnati, you can't just give up penalties. Like,
I know.
You lost.
It was stupid.
Off penalties.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, another shout out to our to our rivalry section. We had Houston versus Austin, a great Texas rivalry.
Texas showdown.
Yeah, that's right. And Houston came out with their dude wipe energy and ended up beating Austin pretty fair and square, 3-0.
Imagine the dude wipes just really have.
I know. They're like, thank goodness we spent so much money on this. I don't know. I'm like, it's so stupid that it's like, it's almost great. It's kind of like us with McDonald's Park where it's like, oh man, we're going to clown down. But then also it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's McDonald's.
It's almost great that they leaned into it, like putting the ad above your butt,
Right.
Like they could have put it anywhere, but it's like, no, or even, like the marketing of it, they know who they are, and I love that about them.
Houston Dynamo FC, they know who they are. And we love them for that. But yeah, there were some great assists for the opening goals from Houston that just put this game away pretty early. Austin kind of lost all their momentum that they had from their Wednesday win, but more power to Houston when their dude wipes energy.
That's a tough part of going to 2 games within 3-4 days.
That's right. Yeah. This next one was kind of a fun rivalry. San Jose versus LA Galaxy. They ended up drawing this one, but it was played actually at Stanford Stadium.
Oh, cool.
Which was kind of fun. I guess that this one goes back at the beginning of the MLS. These are 2 pretty early teams
For sure.
to go. I don't think San Jose came with the same time as LA Galaxy, but obviously proximity allowed for a lot of fun rivalry bashing and stuff. So Galaxy had a lot of chances, but they just could not make it happen because they kept hitting the post.
Yeah.
And it was like there were a lot of and then sure enough, speaking of that energy, San Jose ended up going right into stoppage time, probably the last kick of the game, ended up getting a penalty. And it went to a penalty kick, and you're thinking, oh, this is how San Jose puts it away.
Right.
And then it ended up being a save from their goalkeeper,
What
which
a
was
break
pretty
for
great. Yeah,
Galaxy.
Yeah, really bummer for San Jose.
True.
Because they've gone on to have a pretty, they had a loss and a tie, and again they were right near the top in the Western standing. So let's hope that they're not going on a skid, but they were a fun team to watch for sure.
Yeah. So. Another team that, again, they just got to get back into it. We're only 2-3 games into after the break, but
yeah,
I guess, I don't know. It also could be this is where their season is going. So
we'll see.
We just have to see.
We don't know anything.
Nope.
We haven't been given the script yet.
We've been asking.
We've been in their DMs. So the next game we had was Orlando versus Nashville. Another rival-ish,
Sure.
Proximity-ish,
they're pretty close.
Yeah,
Florida, Tennessee,
if you will. Yeah, I feel like they would be in the same regional bracket.
Yeah.
So Orlando ended up pulling off a win against the first place Nashville with a 1-0 victory. This was a pretty tight race. This was a stalemate throughout the majority of the game for the first 3/4 of the game. But Orlando ended up getting on the score sheet to win against the leaders of the East. And I got to say, I'm pretty scared of Orlando.
I'm telling you, this Griezmann edition has really, they've given them a different type of confidence.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. So we'll see. We'll see if they end up using it, because it seems like they have been, and see if they can keep the momentum. Right now, like, as we're gonna get to it, but like as some supporter of a team that has lost twice, I want to look at these weeks, or at least this first week, as a fluke. And like, all the teams are just coming and trying stuff and not realizing like what exactly is their intention.
Right.
But also, if I was an Orlando fan, I would be really getting my hopes up that this is actually how they turn it around. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
That's a good win against a good team. So
sure is. Yeah. Speaking of a good team, we had Miami versus Montreal. Miami winning this one 1-0. Honestly, not super decisive by any means. No. I thought Miami was going to pretty much have this game in hand because of how Montreal's season has played out as of late. But it's Casemiro's debut.
Well, that's what I was going to say, especially with you were mentioning it earlier, when you debut these generational players, these superstars from overseas. Mm-hmm. It does feel like it go one of two ways, where it's like, oh, now the confidence is so high. And Miami, I think, might be a little different because of the whole Messi factor of like, we've already got the guy that is the guy, so any other addition is great, but we've already reached the heights that no one will reach.
Sure.
But it can go one of two ways, where it's like, okay, we have Griezmann, we have Casemiro, we have Lewandowski. Now we have this whole new element to our identity, and that could cause kind of not even strife. I think Chicago Fire is trying to find their new identity. They had an identity before, and now they're essentially bringing that identity into like a new fold.
Right.
And Miami, the same thing, where it could be like, oh, Casemiro's coming in. Let's really show out like how good we are. And then for them to only win by 1 against Montreal is kind of like not what you expect.
Yeah, and the way that they won was interesting. Obviously pretty unfortunate because Berterame was knocked out in a penalty. He was going for a ball and knocked heads and hit the ground pretty hard, and they ended up getting carted off the field. So luckily, it seems like he's doing better, but I have no idea how long he's going to be out for. And he was a key factor in that win with some great assists from for Luis Suarez for the game against Chicago. So really bummer right there. And obviously that their only goal came from that late penalty. So it was I think overall, like, one of those, like, they came out with 3 points, but they kind of lost in a way too. You know, like they didn't show out well, and not to mention they lost one of their great players. So we'll see what ends up happening. I guess that I keep saying that. I mean, yes, of course we're gonna all see. We're gonna all see what's gonna happen.
This is that's first week.
That's sports, baby.
Yeah.
I guess we've been putting this one off enough.
I want to talk about it.
Yeah, the NYCFC faced off against Chicago Fire in the bizarre setup that is Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, and NYCFC, ended up putting this one away pretty easily, 3-1. There was an absolute screamer from Nico Fernandez. That was just salt in the wound pretty right away. And then Waterman ended up getting on the score sheet with like this awkward header, but I still feel like that was so early on. Him. Yeah, it was so early in the game that I was like, I don't know. Like it still didn't feel super.
I didn't even like really. Even with the goal, I feel like there was no momentum.
Definitely,
and it just always felt like, and maybe. And New York had the like Yankee Stadium boost of like, this is
but they had some great transition play, and just again, Chicago's defense is lacking so much, especially without TLB. So it was a little unfortunate to see how it all played out, but it wasn't necessarily surprising.
Sure, they're still figuring it out
for sure. Then we had Kansas City versus LAFC. Kansas City obviously coming off of a great win against Minnesota. But LAFC was actually like, let's run back Wednesday and do the same exact thing to Kansas City, if not more so. And they ended up winning this one pretty easily, 4-0 with Sonny with another goal. Yeah. And then
he's
3
back.
goals.
He's all the way.
I know.
He's completely meshed in now.
He's looking hot. And 3 of their 4 goals came off of more transitions. Yeah. Which is just a testament to like their playing style. So fast, so exciting. That anything could happen. No one's ever safe playing against them. So
I do like that they've leaned into the kind of like, we're just gonna outscore you. That's cool. Obviously back to like my American sentiments of like, I just like to see scores and stuff. But it's cool when a team embraces that.
When you've got a team that's a highlight reel, that's gonna be good for the fan base.
100%.
So then we had San Diego versus Dallas. Both teams coming in not hot. I don't want to say that. Came in. Both teams came in. Yeah, they came in for the
We're ready to play.
They were I guess ready to play. Except for the Dallas goalkeeper, unfortunately, because he had an early injury that needed him to be subbing off. That's and then San Diego took that as a way to score. It wasn't the new goalkeeper's fault by any means, but they had a pretty decent goal, and that ended up being San Diego's only need was against. What am I saying? Was
they just needed 1-0. They just needed 1 goal to get the win.
That's right.
Dallas was just not up to the level for this game.
Yeah, for sure. And we're gonna get to it in the next portion, but I'll mention that my guys naming dude of the week was in this game.
Oh, so okay. Cool.
I will leave that as a little teaser. If you've seen this game, you may know who I'm talking about, but otherwise you may not.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Then we had Minnesota versus Vancouver, which was another 0-0 draw. And this was pretty frustrating, I think, for both teams.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think especially Vancouver, because this is 2 kind of disappointments in a row.
Yeah, and also this one was hot off the news that Sebastian Berhalter was going to be going to the Championship League in the UK, and will not be continuing with Vancouver throughout the rest of the season, which really sucks for them. Again, one of those those tragedies that came from like the mid-season break.
Right, 100%. Because he was one of their best players, most consistent players.
Totally.
Like what they were doing, obviously one of the top teams in the league. He was a big part of it, and we were actually texting about this. I think we both believe this, that he did, although he was only a sub for the USA team, he subbed in consistently. I think almost every game he came in and he made a difference. He was constantly attacking. He really showed that he has the potential to be a very good player. It was great off set pieces, great off just in transition. I think he really showed a lot in the World Cup, and I think that drew some interest from obviously a Championship League, which signed him, and he took that opportunity. I just feel like that he was already doing so well in Vancouver, but I think having the bigger spotlight of a World Cup really aided in him getting this new contract.
Definitely. Yeah. I would be surprised if it didn't.
Right. Yeah.
But,
they did it.
What are you gonna do? Then we had Portland versus Salt Lake, another 2-1 victory. Portland coming off with a win against Salt Lake. And wow. So this one was interesting. RSL ended up having a really early, I think it was like in the 35th minute, had a really early red card that allowed Portland to score 2 unanswered goals and win it with a Felipe Mora equalizer and a game winner in his last Portland game, which I guess, could shout out. He's a potential Guys Naming Dudes dude of the week, because wow, what a way to go out. And scoring 2 goals in your last game and equalizer and a winner. Just like, what could he ask for more?
Yeah, seriously. Incredible. This was the game the Portland fans were yelling at Diego Luna, USA reject.
Yes, yeah, which, come on, Portland. Come on, Portland. You're better than that.
Come on.
Let me, I realized I didn't write down the score for this one. It was obviously...
I will say, too, the game before the Minnesota and Vancouver, Minnesota, this was also their first game without James Rodriguez, who decided to no longer play with them. He did. I don't feel like he really did much for Minnesota.
Sure.
I think
he was only there for like half the season. Right?
Yeah. And I think they obviously, he's one of Colombia's best players. He played in the World Cup for Colombia. I think they expected more from him. I think both the team and he were kind of underwhelmed with the experience. So he left, and this was their first game without him, and they did nothing. It was 0-0.
Next one came out with St. Louis versus Colorado. St. Louis again pulling off a win with a 1-0 victory. Colorado getting a red card from a dogzo, the denial of a goal scoring opportunity.
Oh yeah,
obvious goal scoring opportunity. I don't know, whatever it is. So this was way early, and then SLC, as I've been calling them in the notes. I don't know if that's an actual nickname for them.
It works.
Comment below. They broke through with a late winner in the 83rd minute. Another absolute screamer. This was a beautiful, beautiful goal. And again, they look good. Yeah. I'm just kind of gobsmacked by them. So pretty great outcome for them right now. And on the complete flip side of things, Seattle versus Philadelphia. Seattle looks bad. They look really bad. I'm kind of baffled as to what's going on. Philly ends up staying out of the way and just ends up getting a benefit from Seattle self-destructing, and they end up winning 1-0 with this game. And then the only other thing of note that I needed to point out was that LeBron James is going to the 76ers.
Maybe that gave them a little extra boost.
Yeah,
they had heard that it was happening, and they were like, "We're good.
Yeah,
we're all Philly's up right now."
Yeah, right. Yeah, even though he's not living there, I guess.
Yeah, no, he'll be by Red Bull New York.
Yeah, ish. Then we had, speaking of Red Bull New York, that was a really good transition.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so good at this. Oh God. We had Charlotte versus Red Bull New York. Charlotte pulling off a win with 2 very early goals. And then the 16-year-old star for Red Bull New York, again, crazy 16 years old, but Mehmeti was sent off because he tried to talk the talk, but the ref made him walk the walk because as the commentators noted, they said, you can maybe talk to him like that when you're like, halfway through your career,
Sure.
but you're way too early to be
20 years old.
Exactly. Yeah. He's going to treat you like a parent right now, or a teacher or something.
Don't talk to me. Get out of here. Go to your room.
Yeah, I know. Right. Yeah.
He literally
That's
sent
what
him
it
to his
felt
room.
like. Yeah. Then we had New England versus Atlanta, the second to last game of the night. It was New England just dominating Atlanta after they were just sputtering in the water. There was a late consolation goal, but of course it just didn't matter.
Yeah.
New England winning 4-1, and the Revs are looking hot. They're looking like one of those teams again. They've taken the place of Chicago Fire in the third place spot in the East, and I'm mad about it. But it's got to give them credit where credit is due.
Yeah, they've come out of the break the opposite of the Fire. We're just ready. Not to say the Fire aren't ready. I think the Fire are just dealing with a lot of transition, whereas I feel like New England is probably more like set with what they got and confident and just they look good. They're obviously trying to move up, which they have thus far.
Of course.
So good for them, I guess.
Yeah, and then let's round it all out, baby. For the last game of the night, we had DC versus Toronto. DC scores the first before the end of the first half, and then Sean Johnson defends with his life, but Toronto ended up scoring an equalizer in the second half. And then right into the stoppage time, there was a 96-minute penalty that gave DC a super late home win.
You just can't do that. You can't give a penalty at the 96th minute.
It was really
just
stupid.
Hold on.
It was really stupid too. I felt like just so obvious and so just like unnecessary. Just hold on.
You just can't.
Let them score regularly if you're gonna lose. You know,
just give. Yeah. No, that's
go down with honor.
There's nothing honorable about that.
Right.
Similar to way back to the Miami Fire game when the Fire gave Miami that penalty.
Sure.
I remember we were talking about it. They're in the box. He's right next to him. He slides thinking he could reach the ball, but it was just an unnecessary slide.
Right.
And that gave them momentum. Obviously, this is different. You don't need momentum if you're getting a penalty at the 96th minute, but you're gonna lose. So
it seems so unnecessary.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to our guys naming dudes dude of the week. Do you have a dude of the week this week?
Mine is Diego Luna, because I still love you and I still hope the best for you. You're gonna turn this around.
He's a beautiful guy.
Yeah, so that's
such a handsome feller.
Yeah,
I figured it would be. Mine is a random dude, but he came up on my radar because of a mistake that he actually made, but he ended up fixing it. It was in the San Diego versus Dallas game. San Diego winning 1-0 at the very end of the game, but Dallas had a chance in stoppage time. But it was all due to a player named Mane Dua from San Diego, who ended up just giving the ball away, just misreading a pass for one of his backfield players, and he just basically gifted it to Dallas. And Dallas comes marching down the field, and they look almost completely defenseless, other than the goalkeeper. And who else but Mane Dua himself literally sprints down the field to correct his mistake and prevents Dallas from getting the equalizer in the stoppage time. And I don't know, it's like, as much as that's like a mistake, I was just so impressed with just the ability to kind of like be like, I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, and deal with it.
That's the stuff the coach loves to see.
Honestly, yeah.
It's like, okay.
That's what you do. If you make a mistake, you go fix it, It was very impressive, and his speed was just incredible. It almost seemed like he did it on purpose to just be like, watch this. Yeah. I highly doubt that.
Look what I can do.
Was like pooping his pants, but it was great. He's my guy's naming dude's dude of the week.
That's a good one.
And then of course I got to give a shout out to Felipe Mora with his we've talked about him already for Portland, but good on him for getting the equalizer and the win in your last match. Beautiful stuff.
I probably also shout out Son, just because what he's doing. Man. Yeah. Because there's there's all this criticism, which it's kind of funny. I feel like obviously I wanted so badly to name like Lewandowski, but he didn't really do anything that would.
Next week. Come on, buddy.
Fingers are still crossed. But I think he's dealing with what Son was dealing with prior, where people were like, "Well, I thought you were this goal scorer. What's going on?" And now Son has finally flipped the switch and is getting the goals, and LAFC seems behind him, and it's really cool to see.
It's great. Let's do a quick look into next week's matches.
Let's do it.
We've got some good ones coming up. as usual. Wouldn't you know it? I just had it up. I don't know where.
Well, first things first, on Wednesday.
Oh, for sure.
We got which is so funny. I think similar to what we were talking about, that this feels like a whole new season. It is not. But it's funny because it feels like a new season, but the All-Star game is already happening. So it's kind of like,
it's a weird vibe. We can go over maybe the players of the All-Star game once we come back next week to see who actually like ended up playing and stuff, because there were several All-Star players obviously from all these different teams, but we'll see who actually
and some have, I mean, our All-Star Hugo Kuipers is now in Liga MX,
right? And
Berhalter,
Berhalter was, and Mboazi is hurt, so I don't think he's playing right now. I saw Zinkernagel from Chicago Fire was named. But yeah, this should be fun because I've actually never seen a All-Star game for the MLS. Have you?
No, me either. And
it's be my first one.
It'll be cool. For those who don't know, I also wonder if they do this, that they feel like there's just not enough All-Stars on both sides. But the MLS All-Stars play the All-Stars of the Liga MX. So our former Chicago Fire player, Guti, who now plays for the Chivas in Liga MX, he's been named an All-Star. So he'll be coming back to the States to play in that game. But I think it's cool that I feel like that adds a little bit more of a competitive edge.
Sure.
I obviously am a big basketball fan. I'm not going to bring up the Knicks, even though I just said it. But drink at home.
Write it down. Yeah.
But that's a big criticism of the NBA All-Star game, or even here in Chicago, we just hosted the WNBA All-Star game, which is really cool. But there's just such a lack of competitiveness, which it makes sense. No one wants to get hurt. It's just kind of like a fun thing to do. And the same here. No one's going to actually be putting their absolute best effort. But I think there is this kind of what's the, I can't
liability
think. No, the like bragging rights. There's kind of a bragging rights thing of like, these are two different leagues, the best players from these two different leagues. Let's show them who the better league is. So I do think that's cool that there is this kind of separate competitive edge, even though it might not be that big. There is still something that they're playing for. So it's the MLS All-Stars versus the Liga MX All-Stars.
It'll give us something to look for as well when it comes to the Leagues Cup that's coming up.
Right. Yeah. I think that's the cool thing too, that it's like, it's not like these two leagues never intersect, that it's all like, this is just like a crazy thing.
It's kind of like an appetizer for
exactly.
what's to come.
Yeah. Like Liga MX teams play MLS teams, which is super cool. And this is kind of a way for these players to play each other.
Yeah. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
All right. So we'll definitely cover that. And we got some other games that we're going to have to cover. Of course, it's not a 2-game or 2 match day week. Yeah. Other than the All-Star game, which should be a little bit easier, and we'll get through a little bit faster.
Yeah, 100%.
We were starting off on Friday with New York City FC against Toronto FC on July 31st.
Cool.
Then we have on Saturday, we've got a whole sloth of sleuth. I'm brain farting right now. got a whole trough of games right now. We got Cincinnati versus San Jose, NY Red Bulls, Jesus, New York Red Bulls or Red Bull New York against Orlando City.
Can Orlando keep it going?
Let's see. We'll see. That's just like that. That's the whole podcast. We'll see. We'll see. I guess we'll watch it. Actually,
the major. We'll see.
We'll see. Yes, exactly. Then we have DC United taking on Nashville. Montreal versus New England.
Okay.
Inter Miami versus Columbus, fresh off of their Hell is Real victory right there.
There you go.
Philadelphia versus Atlanta United. 2 teams right at the bottom, but one looking a lot hotter than the other. Vancouver versus LAFC, which should theoretically be a lot of fun, but
if Vancouver can turn this around.
That's right. Yeah. Vancouver's got a lot to fix. St. Louis versus Real Salt Lake. See if St. Louis is actually a competitor, or if Real Salt Lake can maybe put them in their place and get back on their winning ways.
Yeah, turn this around.
Yeah, Sporting KC against Houston Dynamo coming up. Minnesota versus San Diego. Chicago takes on Charlotte, which we will both be at.
Yes, Lewandowski's actual first home game.
Absolutely. So that should be a lot of fun, hopefully.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Colorado versus Austin. Then we have Portland versus Seattle Sounders, which is a great Cascadia Cup clash right there.
Yeah.
And then LA Galaxy versus Dallas. So that rounds out our weekend of soccer, and we'll have a lot
Portland,
to talk about.
Seattle, they playing again. They just played each other.
They did. Yeah. They sure did. Yeah, I think they're trading places now. So like, it's going to be.
That makes sense. There's a home and home.
Yeah, but yeah, it's we'll we'll see.
We'll see. The major. We'll see.
Yeah. So let's take a look at the standings real quick, and then we'll get the heck out of here. We got Nashville right at the top. This is the Eastern Conference, by the way. We got Nashville right at the top with Inter Miami right behind them. New England took over Chicago. No, rather than goal. Then right behind them is New York City FC. Charlotte and Cincinnati round out the spots of the playoffs. Then with the wild card playoffs right now, if things were to end today, we have the New York City Red Bulls and DC United. Okay. But then knocking on the door is Orlando City, Columbus, Toronto. And then don't count out Montreal, Philadelphia. You can maybe count out Atlanta United.
They're all the way at the bottom.
I would say, of those ones at the bottom that, obviously Philly's been playing a lot better. Columbus and Orlando City, I think they very well could make a run. So
I think Orlando's getting in with how they look. Again, it might be too early, but
we'll see.
They look so good. Yeah.
I didn't even do that. Ironically, it's just Jesus Christ.
It just comes out.
All right. And then that brings us to the Western Conference. We've got Vancouver, who's still hanging on to the top spot, but they are currently tied with LAFC. Seems to be knocking on their door. So LAFC right below them, San Jose right below them, who are look at that, they're also tied with San Jose. So the top three spots are tied for 3-3-3. Would you look at that?
Wow. And then Vancouver, LA, they're going to play each other.
Exactly. So there's going to be
that's a game for top spot.
Could be. We got Real Salt Lake right behind San Jose. Then Houston Dynamo, Dallas, and St. Louis now has a definitive playoff spot if the record holds right now. Then in the wild card spots are Seattle Sounders. They've traded places with St. Louis, so I don't know. I'm surprised to see that because at one point they were looking really, really hot.
Yeah, I think you should be vindicated though because I feel like you're really seeing what St. Louis is putting together.
Honestly, yeah. Then rounding out the wild card is Minnesota, but then knocking on the door, trying to get into contention is Portland, LA Galaxy, San Diego, Colorado, Austin, and then, of course, right at the very bottom is Sporting KC.
Poor Kansas City.
I know. They deserve so much better.
Yeah.
But maybe they deserve a particular Egyptian player.
God,
Mo Salah.
Don't get my hopes up.
I probably shouldn't. Yeah. But yeah, that's the MLS this week. We got a lot of good stuff that we're gonna have to talk about next week. But for now,
can't wait.
We are gonna take a little water break, and then come back with some great club history in our first official episode of Club History. So if you want to stick around on the stream, go ahead and keep listening. But otherwise, if you are just listening in podcast form, listen to our Club History episode after the fact. And thank you so much for watching or listening to TLDR FC, the Major.
The Major.
Thanks, everybody. Excited to keep this moving on.
So much fun. We love the MLS.
And we love you.
Yes.
See you next week.
Go!
Booyah! Hello, everybody, and welcome to Club History by TLDR FC.
Hello.
We are so excited to get started on learning a little bit more about clubs within soccer, because as much as we love the game and trying to understand it, understanding the culture around it, I think, is equally, if not more, important.
100%. At the end of the day, we're soccer curious.
That's right. We're very soccer curious. So if you're new here, I'm Danny.
I'm Casillas.
And we are together, TLDR FC, and our whole goal is to just learn more about soccer and its roots, and trying to grow the game within the U.S., within North America, and understanding a little bit more each and every episode. So we host a podcast called The Major, which looks into the actual gameplay of the MLS, but within this podcast, weekly MLS breakdown. And within this podcast, our whole goal is to look at a different club each week and learn a little bit about their stuff, and then try to watch more games of them and understand some more of the context in hopes to grow the game a little bit more and introduce people to different clubs that could be their local team or just teams that they may gravitate towards because of something that they like within the culture, or their mascot is sick as hell or something like that. So
maybe you live in a city that doesn't have an MLS team and you want to see oh, you like this mascot, or you like, what they're about.
Yeah.
We want to
certain players, whoever.
Exactly. Yeah. We want to learn and then share with you what we learn, and hopefully you can pick your team, or you can hate every team based on what you find out.
Yeah, but a hate watch is still a view.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. And without further ado, let's get into our first club of club history, which is none other than Vancouver Whitecaps FC.
Let's do it.
Let's hear it.
Okay. All right. So the Vancouver Whitecaps FC, they were founded on March 18th, 2009, and they started playing their first season in 2011. They were the 17th team to join the MLS.
Okay. Cool.
So
they weren't quite that young, right?
Yeah.
They were okay.
Yeah, they're like in terms of MLS, they came in kind of like right in the middle.
Of course, yeah. And the team name and like its kind of history and stuff goes back further than the MLS, but within the MLS, they were started in 2011.
Exactly.
I see. Okay.
Yes. Well, they were founded in 2009, but started playing
of course,
MLS in 2011.
Yeah. We're off to a great start.
Some nicknames that they have are the Village,
Okay.
the Blue and White for the colors that they wear,
Sure.
and the Cap for
Yeah.
the Whitecaps.
Oh, that's cool.
So, as you were saying, they are named after the original Whitecaps that played from 1974 to 1984 in the North American Soccer League. They were a Phoenix team for the MLS, which essentially means that the fans of the team just really were like, bring them back.
This is the team. Like, we're going to take their identity and we're going to just like basically put that onto our new team rather than trying to start something new.
Exactly. They had already had so much fanfare and stuff that and the North American Soccer League, for those of you who don't know, that was the United States or the North American first attempt at a soccer league before the MLS. The New York Cosmos were part of it. There's a lot of history in the North American Soccer League, but they were an original team off that played from 1974 to 84 that eventually dissolved and came back as the MLS team.
This was a fact that I added in real late in the game.
Okay, cool, yeah.
I needed to point this out.
Please.
And unfortunately, with copyright, we're not going to be able to listen to it. But it was really popular in the 70s and 80s. Obviously, us being from Chicago have one of the best examples being the Super Bowl Shuffle.
Yeah.
But teams would record championship theme songs or just songs in general to kind of like go along with their season, which is bonkers to me. But
we got to bring that back.
We should, honestly, we should. And this team, the Whitecaps, they ended up recording they recorded 2 songs. One of them ended up getting radio play and was pretty popular on Canadian radio. And the name of the song was called "White Is the Color," and I was like, I think we could do a little bit better than that.
Yeah, what a title.
I don't know. Maybe I would have
plays
done
on Canadian radio.
Got
plays.
Yeah, it did, and it was pretty popular for a time. So we'll have to listen to it outside of the stream.
Yeah.
But if you're curious,
hum any of it?
No.
Okay, cool.
No, I will not.
Not a fan of White Is the Color.
Not a fan of White Is the Color.
Okay.
I do not want to. We're too early into this podcast to get any
I'm proud of you.
cancellation.
I'm proud of you.
And rightfully so.
Yeah,
and I'm with you there.
Yeah.
All right.
So then after the Whitecaps season ended in 84, they came back, which I thought this was a sick name. But for a time after that, they played as the 86ers. And it was named after the year they were founded in 1986. They didn't play in the North American Soccer League. They just played in some minor leagues in North America, but they went as the 86ers, and I just thought that's a sick name.
It's a pretty sick name, especially like if you're looking at it from like a restaurant point of view.
Sure.
Like 86 it off of the menu, or something like that. Like we're gonna 86 you.
We're the 86ers.
We're gonna get you.
Like I like the Whitecaps is a cool name, but
For sure.
86ers just sounds cool. I like
It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as we were saying, the fan support has always been extremely high, them being a Phoenix club. So before even their inaugural season, they put out 5,000 season tickets. They were sold in the first 48 hours. So just within
crazy.
2 days, 5,000 season tickets were sold. That's how ready the fans of Vancouver were to have their team back.
That's pretty cool. Soccer, I mean, especially with the World Cup, it seemed pretty evident that soccer in the Pacific Northwest is pretty bumping.
Yeah,
like there's a big fan base.
They like it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once the MLS team was formed, they wanted to come out with a hot start. So they actually hired Paul Barber, who was a Tottenham Hotspur Premier League team. Well, still a Premier League team, almost got relegated.
Yeah.
But a powerhouse for the most part, the Hotspurs. They hired Paul Barber, who was an executive for the Hotspurs. They brought him in as to CEO the new franchise, which pretty cool. They got some good staff right out the gate.
Yeah.
Their name reflects the surrounding geographic features of Vancouver. So the snow-capped mountains to the north and the Pacific Ocean white-capped waves to the west. So as much as I love the 86ers, Whitecaps just makes more sense.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And given their crest too, it's kind of cool to see how that is emphasized like on the top and the bottom.
Right. Yeah.
In a kind of a artistic way.
Yeah, it's exactly right. It is what it should be. And so speaking of that, with their crest, their club colors are navy blue, white, and light blue. So their kits are usually a reflection of that. They'll have some sort of navy blue, some white, light blue, and good colors. They're
pretty clean.
Yeah, they got good clean kits.
Yeah.
They play at BC Place in Vancouver, British Columbia, and they actually share their stadium with the BC Lions of the Canadian Football League.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
So that's the Canadian football is the one where it has like 3 downs and I think like 10 players on the field.
I've probably watched 2 Canadian football leagues in my entire life,
that's 2 more than me.
I've had it was just so confusing. It was essentially like rugby. It was like, what are they doing? But I mean, they're doing it. That's good.
Yeah, good for them.
Good for them. Yeah. Their stadium actually holds the largest cable-supported retractable roof in the world. So
that's nuts. I had to look this up when you were writing it down. I was in my mind, it seemed like one of those domes that just never opened up.
Yeah.
And then to see it open up, it's such an interesting design. I've never really seen anything like that before.
Oh, it's super cool because apart from them being able to have this cable retractable roof, they also have a secondary roof where the upper bowl can be covered with these like retractable white sails. Yeah. That looks really cool. It like just looks like you have banners across the entire top of the stadium. Sure. And it's basically to reduce capacity so that you kind of have this like fuller audience experience. We've talked about these soccer stadiums overseas. We'll talk about Inter Miami has recently opened up a new stadium. Our Chicago Fire are working on a new stadium. But the kind of cool thing about soccer stadiums is they kind of hover over the pitch and you're kind of close to the field and it just feels really like overpowering over the pitch. That's really cool. And I think they wanted to have that feel with still having a really big stadium. So they have this retractable secondary roof that is just like banners and it just looks really cool. They have like a really thick stadium.
Yeah, I had to look for myself because I'd never been able to go there.
Yeah.
And
one day.
Yeah, one day we'll get out there. It's really cool. And it was a unique way to create a kind of raucous atmosphere without it making it feel kind of cavernous, as a lot of, especially NFL stadiums
for sure
end up feeling.
Yeah. So, and it's just cool that they want you to have that experience of like all together. Cause sometimes stadiums will just open up everything and you'll have people all scattered and it doesn't, you like the crowd doesn't do the same thing because I think when people are closer together, you can really feel the energy more.
Right.
Which is just super cool. Their largest supporter group are named the Southsiders, which is kind of cool. And they were formed in 1999 as actually fans of the 86ers.
That's pretty cool that they lasted this long.
That's
devotion.
It just shows how much support this Vancouver team has had even throughout these different phases of being the Whitecaps and being the 86ers and being back to the Whitecaps, but kind of like the support has always been there. And the Southsiders especially have just always, and they're a huge supporter group, one of the biggest in MLS. So it's really cool how much support they have for their team.
Sure.
They're not the only supporter group that they have. There's kind of this general belief that there are 6 separate supporter groups. The biggest 3 being the Southsiders, the Curva Collective, and the Rain City Brigade, which are just sick names.
Those are sick.
Vancouver is really killing it with the names of their stuff. They also had North America's first ever all youth supporter group, the Vancouver Albion.
Yeah, I would assume Albion. I used to live right off of Albion street.
Oh, okay. That makes. I had no idea.
So
what it was.
I assume that's Albion. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a group all of just youth.
That's really cool.
And they also have the South Sisters, which are supporters who identify as female, LGBTQ, or allies.
That's really cool.
Really awesome. That's like just sick that they have that. Their mascot is Spike, a belted kingfisher, which is a bird common in the Vancouver area. Within the last year, had the mascot. It's still a belted kingfisher, but it's gone through a little makeover.
Oh, has it? Okay.
Upgraded. So
that's really interesting. So I know this, not to sidetrack us, but the University of Illinois has forever known, they've been forever known as the Fighting Illini.
Yeah.
And that obviously comes from a nickname that was given to the students on the campus.
Yeah.
But there was, obviously this association with like Illinois, obviously being a Native American name.
Right.
And then like the mascot ended up being a Native American, like fake tribal, it was a very offensive depiction of Native American cartoonishly,
right.
as is all too often the case with
100%.
so many mascots. But there has been in the past few years a big push for a new mascot, and because they've just been without one forever. And one of the mascots that has really taken a big stride forward in the public opinion is a belted kingfisher. And
oh wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either. And it was kind of a random. It seems a little, it's not like the tigers or something like that, And the reason why is because it's the only bird, the only animal in nature that has blue, orange, and white as their like main colors.
Yeah.
And so that being the colors for Illinois, that's like why it's been like voted as it. So there's a big push. It's not the official one, but there's a big push for the Illinois mascot to be a belted kingfisher. And I had literally never heard of it until they have been, pushing for that. And now here we go.
Yeah, maybe
that's
maybe
a successful story right
draw
here.
some inspiration from
Exactly.
from the
I would
Whitecaps.
not be surprised.
Yeah. And that makes sense because also the Whitecap, their colors are blue and white as well. So,
sure.
And it's common to the Vancouver area, but it's a cool mascot. And now I'm hoping Illinois has that as their mascot too. That would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
So some of their rivalries, their biggest and longtime rivalries are between the Portland Timbers and Seattle Sounders, which date back to even before the MLS. So they were having beef with Portland and Seattle in their North American Soccer League days, which goes to your point of the Pacific Northwest just loves them some soccer.
It's great. And I think a lot of that has to be due to the fact that they've got some proximity rivals right there. I mean, if you have, there's no hatred like someone who's close to you. So we know it with the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers. It's there's something about it where it's just you share this general area together and you're either on one side or another. So those three is great. The Cascadia Cup right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're like the Midwest is ours. They're like the Pacific Northwest is ours.
Yeah,
and I was actually surprised. They also obviously have rivalries with their Canadian counterparts, Toronto FC and FC Montreal. Those are the other two Canadian teams in the MLS, but much more heated rivalries with Portland and Seattle, which it was surprising to me. I thought the rivalries were just going to be all throughout Canada.
Yeah.
But they hate Portland and Seattle way more, which is like, and that's the stuff that's going to be exciting when, Portland plays Vancouver, or Seattle plays Vancouver is like, oh, I think prior to us learning this, I'm like, oh, Pacific Northwest game. Now we know there's some general animosity between these three teams.
For sure.
So that's really cool.
Yeah.
A bit about their ownership group. They're owned by a group of investors, Greg Kerfoot, Steve Luxo. He's chairman of Seagate, kind of this like data-based company. Mm-hmm. Jeff Mallet, he was a builder and CEO of Yahoo.
Wow.
Yeah. And this one blew my mind. Steve Nash, former NBA player, two-time MVP, Steve Nash, who also is a huge soccer fan. He played soccer in high school.
Did he? I didn't know that.
Loves soccer. Also, he is Canadian.
Sure.
So it makes sense.
That. Yeah.
Also, though, his younger brother was a midfielder for the Whitecaps, Martin Nash,
Wow.
which I didn't even know he had a brother. And apparently his brother is also a professional athlete.
That's sick. Oh, wow.
This group of four, they came together and they bought the team and now are the co-owners, and they all have had much success in their lives in different ways.
Yeah.
But despite that, in April of 2026, so very recently, Grant Gustafsson, that's a hard name.
Gustafsson?
Gustafsson.
I assume, yes.
He's the
GG, if you will.
GG in April of 2026, he has made a formal offer to buy the team and move them to Las Vegas. And so now the future of the franchise is uncertain. Who GG is Public Storage,
It's like the storage
company. Yeah. They have like a bunch around the world, I think. His grandfather was the founder of that.
So he's the heir of Public Storage.
He's the heir of Public Storage.
Where do I put my broken lamps and
couches that I don't want anymore?
Couches that I don't want, but my mom would kill me if I got rid of it.
All these trinkets that I have nothing to do with. Yeah. And he's dining off that. And he's like, actually, Vancouver sucks. Let's go to Vegas.
Wow.
And honestly, with all the history that they have, I don't feel like that is the right move. And it's just super, super lame. And hopefully that doesn't happen. And kind of to piggyback off that, one thing that we will be doing is we will hop onto the Reddit of these teams and just see what they're talking about. And I'll do the recent, we usually look at the all-time Reddit post, what is the biggest Reddit post they've ever had, and what is the more recent one, like within the last week. I'll do the last week one first. A Loons fan was visiting to see a Vancouver game, and he posted a handmade sign that he made that says "Stay in Couv," and it's just been kind of throughout their Reddit is a big thing that, like, even when they're going to opposing fields to play in different teams, obviously every time they play at home, there's all these signs of like, don't leave, stay in Vancouver. And it just shows, like we were saying, 5,000 season tickets were sold in the first 2 days. Fans love this team, and everywhere that they go, people are saying that they should just stay. And I know we're advocating that they should stay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are even feeling the pain from Chicago of all these talks about moving the Bears, but ultimately they're not necessarily moving to become a completely different team. So I have such a headache over a team that I love that could be moving to a different part of the state or to a different state entirely.
Yeah.
But they're not changing their identity, and this move would absolutely change their identity, and it would change everything. So I think it's more than fair to be absolutely stand up with everybody who's saying save the Caps, and to make it be known that they deserve to be here, and that they are just as important as all these other teams, if not more so than some of the newer ones, because of all the history they have.
100%. Because if they're bought and moved to Vegas, they can't keep the Whitecaps name. It's going to be a whole new name. The entire identity, everything that we have just been talking about will be erased, and it just shouldn't, because they have a lot of history and they deserve to be in the MLS.
For sure.
And so off of that, their all-time Reddit post that has gotten like 3,000 upvotes is a picture from a fan who came across Mueller, Thomas Mueller, right?
Mueller or Mueller?
Mueller.
I think it's Mueller.
I always say Mueller. No, you're right.
I think it's spelled Mueller.
It's definitely Mueller, though, because I've heard broadcasters say Mueller.
Well, apologies in advance if we got it wrong.
But I guess he just walks around downtown Vancouver. He's obviously one of their best players. And this guy just came across him, took a picture, and all the comments are just how much they love this guy. He's
great.
Obviously he played in Bundesliga, has had a incredible historic career, and he now plays for Vancouver, is one of their best players, and they absolutely love him. And it's just a random picture of a guy finding him downtown and taking a picture with him, and it has so many upvotes, so many comments about how much they love him. So this is just some cool Reddit posts from them.
That's great. Yeah, super cute.
Yeah.
The second half of our club history is, obviously we can do only so much research about a specific team, and there's a lot of great info out there. And obviously, if you're really interested in following a certain team, there's even more info that I'm sure that you would be able to dive into than we are. But within
if any of these things kind of caught your interest, please learn more about them.
Dive deeper, because there's still plenty. And as much as it's a young team, there's young team and a young league, there's a lot of good stuff and a lot of fun stories that people have from their experiences and their memories with the team and in and around the club. And because of that, we ended up creating a Google form that we have been sending out to different Reddits. So if you are not on Reddit or not on your team's Reddit, then please keep a lookout for it. We've been trying to make sure that they're posted in every one of the subreddits for the specific MLS teams. And of course, we're starting off with the Whitecaps, and we got plenty of responses, and we want to share them with you now, so we can take a look at some of the actual perspectives from fans of the team and some of their best opinions, memories, and hot takes that they have. So our first question, of course, was your favorite player, or as I've liked to call it, the guys, name, and dudes of history. So right off the bat, from all of our responses, a majority of them have included a few of these names. So I'm going to go ahead and just show the ones that share the ones that are the ones that stand out the most. So the one that has been mentioned the most out of all of them is definitely Ryan Gauld.
Yeah.
He has been the pretty much fan favorite over all of the submissions that we've gotten. Then, of course, we've got Thomas Muller, whatever it might be. Apologies. Then we have Alphonso Davies, who was just in the Canadian team for the World Cup.
Yeah, one of the star players of the Canadian national team.
Great stuff right there. Sebastian Berhalter, who as of right now has recently, I think it has yet to be formally announced, but has recently, unfortunately, left the team, taking a contract with a team in the UK. But he is near and dear to us in a sort of, particular way, given the fact that his dad is actually the Chicago Fire coach, Greg Berhalter, and was previously the US MNT's coach. So he's definitely come from a storied past and did a lot for this team.
Yeah, their most recent All-Star.
Definitely, yeah, and was of course a part of the US men's team,
where he played very well.
Yes, got to give him credit where credit is due. And another name that stood out to me was Carl Valentine. That was another one that needed to be mentioned. Of course, there were several that were listed throughout, but those were the ones that stuck out the most, of course. The best era was one that we asked about, and it seems like the majority of folks said that right now is the best time to be a Whitecaps fan. It's the current era that we're currently in, based on the success they've had for the past few years and what they've been doing just this year alone.
Yeah, they're doing very well.
It's been great.
Sitting at top of the Western Conference.
Yeah. So, it's a great time to be a Whitecaps fan, other than the fact that the team is threatening to leave. But hopefully you get enough support, us included, to keep you in Vancouver. Some of the other submissions that they had were talking right around the 70s. So when they were back in the North American Soccer League, and their success back then, probably because of their hit songs that they had.
They love white as the color.
Absolutely. And they also, there was one that was written out a little bit longer than the rest of them that I needed to mention that I thought was very sweet. They were referring to the best era as when we played at Empire Field again in the 2010s, outdoors in East Vancouver, where all the early Whitecaps memories were made. It was a small temporary stadium near the site where our original Empire Stadium was. Though pretty gentrified now, East Vancouver has our little Italy and many immigrant communities who have made it home over the years and brought with them their love for soccer. It was cool to see Matchday come back to the original neighborhood during that temporary rehoming. I don't mind BC Place, and it is a better stadium fit for MLS, but Empire Field was where Pele played back in the day, and it is where our pro soccer history in this city really started.
That's beautiful.
Really beautiful sentiment.
I love that.
So really cool history to be able to hold on to, given the fact that, again, MLS is pretty young. We don't have these the old pony grounds back in 1884, like a lot of these other teams do.
Yeah.
So any history to hold on to is always good. Then the favorite memories for a supporter. This was my favorite section. A lot of folks had some great answers. They were talking about their victory over Inter Miami in the CONCACAF Champions semifinal, watching them beat San Diego in the semifinals last year, the 7-0 win against Philly in 2025, which again, Philly was a great team last year. They ended up beating the Chicago Fire in the playoffs, so that's a pretty impressive win.
7-0.
I know.
It's crazy.
The 2025 playoffs, of course, they made it to the final against Inter Miami, and do need to mention one of these out here said the Caps are our local side, and my love for them proceeds from having a team to show up for every match day. Honestly, my favorite memories were watching the games with my uncle, who was a diehard Whitecaps fan till the day he died. Oh. I love the energy of our fan group, the Southsiders bring to match day. Our run last year was legendary too. Champions Cup and MLS Finals, plus we won the Voyagers Cup. Wow. Wild to go through all of that while the future of the club in Vancouver is actively in jeopardy. Can Ryan Reynolds afford to buy us too? That's a valid question.
Yeah, he's Canadian son. Come on.
Yeah, would be great. But a lot of the other memories about the last year's Western Conference final, which ended in a penalty shootout that ended up sending the Whitecaps to the final. So again, this era really seems to be the best time to be a Whitecap supporter.
Seriously.
And yeah, I'm really eager to watch some more after all of this success. It's like, it gives you more perspective.
100%.
Sure. Then I ended it with advice. And of course, with the Whitecaps being actively in danger, there's a lot of emphasis on learning the history, but also just supporting the club and making sure that Save the Caps is, an actual storied movement and not just like a general kind of like sentiment that people hold. A lot of other teams, as Casillas mentioned, are bringing different banners and flags and posters to their games that even if they are a supporter of the club that is opposing the Whitecaps, they are making it known that they want them to still be a part of the MLS and to still be in Vancouver. So people are mentioning that it'd just be so bad to have the club ripped away from us in the midst of this incredible moment for the team.
Seriously, this is the worst. I mean, there's never a good time.
There's never a good time, but it's like
a team, but they're thriving right now. They're at the top of the league, and their fans love them. That is just it's crazy to me. Steve Nash, come on.
Yeah, I know. Some of the other advice is enjoy the good times, find things to enjoy in the bad, and always do your best to support the team. Also, look up and get acquainted with the club history. There actually is some, which we're trying to get at. We're trying to get into it. All the folks have mentioned too, support local first and always get involved in supporters culture. You will never feel a connection to sport greater than volunteering with your local supporters group.
That's awesome.
Which has got to be true in every other way.
Yeah.
I also wanted to mention too that the Vancouver Whitecaps FC is legitimately one of the most safe, supportive, large-scale sporting events and clubs. The players are great, the staff is great, and the fellow fans are always fun to chat with. Also, it's okay if you don't understand the offside rule. No one does. So that's some beautiful advice
cool
right there.
People in Vancouver.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm so grateful for all these responses. These have been lovely. I want to leave it with anything else. That was a section that gave them the opportunity to say whatever they want. And I figured that I'd go ahead and say some of the things that they did. So the first one said, I know all of my answers are from the current era, but genuinely, this is the best it has ever been, at least since I moved to Vancouver 10 years ago. I have fond memories of the 5-0 playoff win over San Jose, the Davies debut goal, the Canadian championship wins, but we have never been this good, this fun to watch, and this important to the city.
It's awesome.
Beautiful. The next one is, of course, hashtag Save the Caps.
Save the Caps.
Thanks for putting some respect on the MLS. Too many soccer snobs in these markets who claim to love the sport but don't love what makes it great, which is supporting all of our local teams in this truly global sport. Well, yes. Absolutely. That's our goal throughout all of this. We appreciate the support, and that's what we're hoping to do. We're just hoping to just find some beauty in this sport that's right in front of us. There's
we
a
love
lot of
the
teams
game,
to support,
and we want to just learn more about it.
Absolutely. Lastly, one of the responses got into the Caps in 2018, been a season ticket holder for 3 years now. It's honestly one of the only sports I enjoy watching on a regular basis, and a lot of that is just the general vibe around the club and the fans. Everyone's fantastic, and even on bad game days, it's still a great time.
Sick.
And for the majority of the other anything else to say sections, people said, of course, save the Caps.
Save the Caps.
Save the Caps. Please.
Save the Caps.
Save the Claps. It matters.
Hashtag
Save the claps.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Save the claps and also the caps while you're at it.
Yeah. Caps first, clap second.
So, I mean, that's been the club history for Vancouver.
What a great club. And honestly, I think one of the best things of this is, and I'm sure we're going to see this throughout the other MLS teams that we research, but just the fans of this club, and again, probably the other clubs, but just, and especially with what's going on, how passionate that they have to be.
For sure.
But it's so genuine, you can tell, and they're awesome. Their history is awesome. Even the fact that they were this loved from North American Soccer League all the way to minor leagues as the 86ers to now, and like the Southsiders being so long of a supporter group, and all these different supporter groups, that it saved the Caps forever.
Definitely.
Save the Caps forever.
Absolutely. Yeah. So obviously there's a lot of history that we can get into about the actual gameplay, about some of the, coaching and ownership through here and there. And we might have time to be able to do that in another episode. But right now, we just wanted to give you the basics, the building blocks of becoming a part of the fandom of Vancouver Whitecaps. And we hope that we gave you some stuff to chew on and be able to explore a little bit further. I want to give a quick shout out to all of our folks who have asked to be named based on their responses. It's always anonymous, so if you ever want to submit some stuff but you don't want to mention your name, absolutely not required. But here are the folks that did. We've got Benjamin from Vancouver, we got Eric from Vancouver by way of St. John's, Angela from Vancouver, Ian from Aiken, South Carolina, which is a great shout. Tim from Lower Mainland, BC, Chris from Summerland, Matthew from Vancouver, Derek from Vancouver, Josh from New Westminster, and wouldn't you know it, Alex from Vancouver.
Wow,
so thanks so much, guys. It really means a lot to us to get actual perspective from fans. Obviously, that's the most important thing, and it's pretty beautiful how much it's evident in your responses how much the fans is ultimately like the reason why you support the sport, you know, and I think that's why we've gravitated towards it too.
100%.
So
I just their next game, so watch the Vancouver Whitecaps next game if you can. They play LAFC, and that is actually a game for first place in the Western Conference.
There you go.
They will play on Saturday, so check out Vancouver, support Vancouver. We hope you learned something off this, and again, save the Caps.
Save the Caps, baby. And check in with the major next Monday, streaming at 7:30 p.m. We're gonna go over that game and see if we can pick out any of the new stuff that we found. I'm definitely looking for that belted kingfisher spiky.
Oh yeah, I'll be looking for Spike.
That should be great.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much for listening to watching Thank you so much for listening and watching TLDR FC Club History. We hope to see you in the next one. And without further ado, go!